So Tyler Boyd spoke today to the media about the upcoming Buffalo Bills game and how all those players on the Bills who make excuses for why they lost the playoff game because of snow, he had a message to them. He also had a message from himself on comments he made. Let's go ahead and listen up to this.
Yeah, it'll feel great, because I think that was the most electric that I've seen the stadium, my whole time here, and back then, and going back on the playoff game when we won in the snow, a couple of their players were saying if it wasn't snowing that they would have beat us. So we here now, so we're gonna see what the outcome is.
Is that a motivating factor this week? You still remember them saying that and them thinking they could beat you if it wasn't snowing?
It ain't no motivation factor for me, but I still remember it, because when you lose, it's always an excuse. Just like when I said if I'd have played in the Chiefs game, that we'd have won, But at the end of the day, you got to prove it. You got to go out there and do it. So we're here to get this win.
By the way, shout out to Trags on Twitter for posting this. Actually, no, sorry, not Trags. Well, it was Trags on Twitter. Reposted by Arnie Mirov, but Trags, as always, absolutely amazing part of the Bengals community here. I want to go and make sure I show off his Twitter here. Trags, or Mike, as his name is. He does have a Jungle War podcast. Great person, great guy. Just wanted to go ahead and just shout that out for that fact. But starting off right away, ironically enough, so the player that was talking the most trash about, oh, we only lost because of the, weather, was actually Isaiah McKenzie. Now, Isaiah McKenzie is no longer on the Buffalo Bills. He actually is now on the Indianapolis Colts. So, sadly, he won't, be out there to, get the comeuppance of, hey, listen, bro, like, you talked all this trash, and now, look, without the snow, we still beat you, right? If we do win on Sunday night. I think we will, but we're going to go into this game in the mentality of we are both great teams and we're going to try to play our best to win this game. And you never know the outcomes. So that's that, right? Isaiah McKenzie, whatever. The other guy, I believe, if I'm correct, was a D tackle who actually said the same concept. That pretty much it didn't do anything special. It's just coming down to the snow. And they weren't able to run the same offense that they wanted to and defense because of the snow, right? And it's ironic enough because, as always, Buffalo is known for the snow. I mean, it's New York, right? New York weather is like the worst weather in the world. Like, that's just... When you go farther up north, you get worse weather. Don't get me wrong, but, like, New York is right up there with the worst weather you get snow-wise. So, it's ironic the team, Buffalo, who over the last... since their existence, has always been known for that team that could play in any condition, any weather, anything, right? They're like that gritty team. They're that team, Bills Mafia. Look at Bills Mafia. A lot of them are just like hardcore redneck type of guys. And, there's nothing wrong with that in any way possible. But the mentality usually is like, oh, they're like the toughest guys on earth. They're the toughest men on earth. And that kind of is the perspective you get with Buffalo, right? And the team has always been like that. You go get Josh Allen, who's a very tough, just smash-mouth football quarterback who will run into a linebacker or a safety. He doesn't care. He wants to get a first down. He'll run it himself. So when you had these players coming out and making excuses why they lost because of the snow, it was pretty funny, okay? But as our man TB says here, the first point he's making is the Damar Hamlin situation. How, the crowd is going to be electric. Because if I was there in the crowd, I would be electric too. Not as much for Damar Hamlin, but for the medical staff of Cincinnati Bengals that were able to save his life that night, right? So that's number one. The crowd, the atmosphere, it has to be electric. It's first off a great game versus another great team. This could decide the AFC, conference, so that's already a big factor. And now you put in the fact that, TB, actually, yeah, just TB, I would say. But I know this offseason, TB, Damar Hamlin, and I believe T. Higgins all hung out. Nonetheless, though, you put in the factor that, there is a relationship between Damar Hamlin and, Tyler Boyd. Cannot speak for some reason. They actually grew up together. So there is that type of relationship. There is going to be some type of ecstatic feeling of let's go, let's go, let's go. But again, yes, you have to prove on the field. So they've made all those excuses, and I'm sure, again, listen, at the end of the day, just because one or two players come out and say, oh, they shouldn't have done this, blah, 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 they wouldn't have beaten us with the snow, it does not mean that more players didn't have that same idea, they just didn't say it out loud, right? Usually when players, who are outspoken, who are vocal with how they believe in things or what they believe in when it comes to, like, getting fluffed over by the refs or the weather, right? They're usually players outspoken, and they're talking to media, and they'll give their voice out there. But usually, when that happens, it's a general consensus in the locker room. For the most part, I'm not saying 100%, but for the most part, usually everyone has that idea. There's just one player who will actually speak out about it, right? So, I think the general consensus going into that game was, again, the situation with the snow. Obviously, that was a problem for a lot of Bills players, and we heard, kind of murmurs of that. There was also some problems with, how are we going to play this playoff game when Damar Hamlin's situation happened. I still kind of on the fence about that one, because, like, he was actually cleared fine, 100% okay by the playoffs, so, like, you're worried about a guy who's there, right there in front of you, and he looks okay, and he's medically cleared. Nonetheless, that is all going to be decided on Sunday night, right? We're going to figure out, okay, who's the better team. Now, again, like I said before, they don't have Isaiah McKenzie. They don't have Tre'Davious White. They don't have, Damian Harris. They also don't have Dalton Knox, right? They also don't have a lot of their players, Matt Milano. We don't have Jesse Bates from last year, right? So you go back to the roster last year, going into this game, it's like, well, you can't decide because you have different rosters. But we lost Jesse Bates and Von Bell and Hayden Hurst and Samaje Perine. Those are 4 key players we lost to this team. Yes, they have injuries going into this game. Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White. Those are key players for them. So in reality, it's kind of, in a way, balanced because we don't have our key players from last year when we played you. You don't have your key players this year when we're playing you. So now it's kind of balanced to make it a little bit more fair. And the last point I'll touch on is his last point he makes about when, he said last year, he felt like if he played the AFC Championship game, he was the X factor and he would have won that game. That's what he feels like. And I still will say a million times, I don't think even with TB out there, we would have won that game. It really came down to the right tackle and the referees. I'm not even going to go into the whole referee talk. I don't really care at this point anymore. It's a pass. But a right tackle I will go into because Hakeem got destroyed by Chris Jones most of that game. Now, that's nothing to do with really Hakeem being, like, awful. He's going against one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. But the point is, we weren't, prepared to have a backup left tackle or a left tackle who could play left tackle. Jackson Carman did good, but he wasn't amazing. And then you go to the right side, we didn't have a right tackle, right? So I think that was more of a factor of losing that game than TB being out there. I think TB being out there would have been nice, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? We can always say what ifs. What we can't say when it comes to what ifs is what's going to happen Sunday night. And this is the situation. And I swear on everything, I do not want to come out of this game, win this game against them, and then the first thing I hear by their players saying, well, the only reason we lost was because Damar Hamlin was there. It was the first game since Damar Hamlin, so therefore, that's why we lost. I mean, I'm sure there's some players are going to say that, right? It just seems like how they go about things at this point. Every time we play them, there's an excuse, but it is what it is, man. We're not going to see anything other than a W, hopefully. And I say hopefully because they are a good team. But I believe we'll see a W. We'll come out of this game with a, huge smile on our face and continue rocking for the rest of the season. Another statement win this week. Again, back-to-back statement wins. Let's get it. Then we play the Texans. Then we play the Ravens. And then the Steelers. See you guys in the next one.